Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today. I'm Sakshi Batra, and on this edition, we're going to be discussing some key insights from the IT sector. Indian IT industry body NASSCOM has in a report said that they expect India's software product industry to now post $30 billion of yearly revenue by 2025. Now, to understand what this really means for the sector, which is already the largest service employment provider, I'm joined by a very special guest on this show, Mr. Ramkumar Narayanan. He's the chair at NASSCOM Product Council, joins right in. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your time for this important discussion. First up, could you share where do the revenues for the industry for the software products really currently stand at, and what gives you the confidence of the growth that you projected?
First of all, thank you, Sakshi, for having me here. And thank you for taking up this very important topic in terms of looking at our product companies as we look out over the future. So today we stand at about $13 billion of revenue for the product companies from India. And these are global revenues. Of course, there is some component of this is domestic, and then we have a lot of international growth that is starting to happen. And we are very bullish about this. I mean, if you look at the CAGR from fiscal year 2019 to 2022, our estimate is that it's been a CAGR of about 10% year over year. And that revenue is starting to accelerate. And so we are projecting 30 billion by 2025. And of course, we have a longer term projection in terms of where we think the software product industry will land over time by 2030. So all of our activities and focus areas are really projected out to 2030, but we have called out 2025 in the report.
Okay. So for the benefit of all our viewers, could you also help break down and help us understand what all do these software products really include when we talk about these products gaining this kind of revenue going forward from here? What are we talking about really?
Yeah, very good question. And it's really kind of, if you think about it, we have to look at it in two different avenues. One is horizontal platforms. So these are areas, these are products that serve across industries and provide this could be anything from, software tools that developers use across the world. These could be B2B solutions that cut across industries in the infrastructure space, in the cloud space. One of the biggest growth vectors that we see here is as the world digitizes. One of the things that, everybody was talking about digital transformation pre-pandemic.
Yes.
And how much of that really came about was discovered in the last 2 years, when companies that had made good progress, really accelerated. And those who had not made enough progress, they were caught on a back foot, right? And what we are seeing now is the world has kind of realized that, and across industries, across verticals, there's a tremendous amount of acceleration in terms of digital spend around the world. Now, the good news is a lot of the product companies from India, which were, which was slowly starting to gain momentum, are really getting a big boost out of the global digitization that has happened. So that's one part. As the world moves to cloud, a lot of these companies are getting a tailwind behind them.
Yes.
The second thing that we see is a lot of companies are now solving very good, world-class problems in vertical areas. It could be in retail, manufacturing, healthcare. You can pick your vertical, and we have companies that are emerging in this. And from an NASSCOM perspective, we have areas like Deep Tech Club, which has been following the trends and mentoring these companies. We started Deep Tech Club about 3 years ago with the vision of mentoring 1,000 deep tech startups from India. Right. And we thought 1,000 is a great number. And we are at about 150 startups. And these are companies, in fact, within this, we see segmentation of companies that are relatively, kind of early stage. But we're also seeing companies that are accelerating. These companies are already in north of, several $1 million in annual recurring revenue. So it gives us a lot of confidence that we are solving world-class problems. We're getting relevant to world industries in terms of what's happening. And a lot of our founders, as well as companies, the third trend, which I was amiss in not touching upon, is the productization that is starting to emerge from services companies, both the large ones, as well as, more importantly, the SMEs who had gained a lot of domain knowledge. So these are companies that were providing services in the insurance sector and various other sectors, who are now converting that knowledge into SaaS-based offerings. And we believe that could be another third area of growth for us, of companies switching from services models to product models. So I think these will be the three big areas for us. That's right.
Absolutely. So, sir, could you also expound a little bit more on what is the global market for these products estimated at? How big is it? And are global markets now opening up more for Indian product companies? And if yes, then why is that?
So, a couple of things there, right? I mean, our estimation, and unfortunately, there's no good number available globally that says, product industries are X. We estimate that to be about, $500 to $1 trillion by 2030. It's a fairly broad range, but we think it'll be closer to $1 trillion of overall market opportunity for product companies globally, right? So for us, when we look at that number, we want to be a significant percent of that. And and we are starting from a slow base, right? I mean, we were at about 9 billion 2-3 years ago. We're at 13 billion now. But what we are saying is, as we start to grow and products start to become a lot more accepted worldwide, we believe that will become a non-linear growth pattern for us. And we would like to be at about 10 to 15% of global product revenues of the global opportunity. But that is just a number, right? We can put projections, but what is important for us is to say, are we building the base? Are we building the foundation on which we can actually achieve that? And we are starting to see that. And you asked about why we believe that can happen, right?
Yeah.
We are seeing, like I said, companies solving world-class problems that's relevant to global customers. Second, utilization of deep tech, and we have called that out in the report. That we believe 60-70% of deep tech will be prevalent across the product offerings of companies. And this is everything from machine learning, which we already see starting to emerge, to real AI, Web3. We are seeing good companies starting to emerge in space tech, drone, autonomous vehicles as a whole.
Absolutely.
So there's a whole class of things that are emerging. And we also think that the partnership between academia and industry will start to get even more gain and momentum, so that science-based solutions and productization of scientific research will actually drive a lot of this. So compared to even a few years ago, where the refrain was that Indian product companies were following global other companies around the globe, we are starting to see our companies hitting the stride. I mean, if you look at the 80 plus unicorns that have emerged from India, many of them are in the B2B space, and many of them are selling globally. These are not India domestic companies. These are not just in the consumer space. So it gives us a lot of confidence that we have founders and teams that are coming together. And as NASSCOM, the other thing we have done is we have focused on two other big areas. One is around mentorship and providing the scaffolding and structure around these companies so that we can help them on various fronts. And and adjacent to that is we are also looking at the product skills area, because we believe that to have world-class companies, you need the world-class skills beyond engineering. Engineering is something that we have solved, but we have to solve this for product marketing, product management, global marketing leaders that need to emerge from India. So we are looking at that and saying, how do we upskill and create those avenues for skill development in India from India for this global companies.
Absolutely. That's noteworthy. Absolutely. The kind of work that you're doing. And it's essential for more and more startups to start believing in this sector and to start contributing in this space as well, because of the kind of demand that you're already looking at from various sectors and industries that you just spoke about as well. Lastly, I want to understand from you, the Indian IT sector has proven to be the backbone of our economy, of course, mostly so in the last 2 years of the pandemic as well. And it is a huge employer, a job provider. Do you believe now the software product industry has a similar kind of potential? And what can aspiring people in this industry really expect going forward?
No, absolutely. I mean, if you look at our 2021 data that we published, actually, I would recommend that you read two reports in parallel. You see the product report that we just launched. We also launched a startup report back in January. And if you read them adjacent, just put them next to each other and read through, right? You will start to see some of these, starting to emerge. For example, in 2021, the product startup industry in India created 6.6 lakh jobs, direct employment, and 34 lakhs of indirect employment. And that is just scratching the surface. We are not even including, like I said, some of our SMEs who are moving in this new direction. We have a large services companies which are going in that direction, kind of starting to move. So we absolutely think we will continue to grow job opportunities, both direct and indirect. The second thing that we are starting to see emerging that probably is accelerated by the pandemic is many of these jobs are now starting to emerge in tier 2, tier 3 towns. So people don't have to migrate to the large cities in order to find the employment that they were looking for. And we don't see that reversing in any near future. So that's actually a very good trend for us, because that starts to create people that would not have considered entering into these markets. We are able to create new opportunities and talent pools around the country. So we are truly bullish that, and the other piece to this, like you rightly point out, the software services industry has been kind of the bellwether for India. And we would love to have the product ecosystem be as relevant as the services ecosystem has been over the last 30, 40 years. And that's what we're working towards, because together, I think the services industry, the product industry can be a very powerful force multiplier for India.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, sir, for sharing all these wonderful insights with all our viewers, and all the best to you. We will hope to have you back on our platform to share more insights from the industry, as well as in when we go along and see brighter future, going forward, as well as local players now expand globally, newer companies get into the product space, and therefore generate many more jobs for Indians as well. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you, Sakshi. Thank you for having me on the program.